if you're like me, writing a novel kind of sometimes feels magical, as if like somebody has some sort of special ability that breaks the bounds of space and time. And after years and years of working on stories, there's always something that's just barely missing in one of your stories that you're not quite sure why it doesn't work or how to fix it. And you keep working on all the prose and the pretty things and adding more action and this and the problems that you have are actually smaller than you think, but you just can't quite put your finger on them. And so you end up going to a dark and quiet place. You end up praying to God, the universe, whatever might be out there, that they would grant you the power of the muse such that you can finally make the story you've always dreamed of. And then a man comes down from the mountain and he hands you something very important.
Let my people go.
Look guys, this is 2025. 10 Commandments seems a little bit too much for us to follow. So what if I could offer you 5 commandments of storytelling? In this video, we're going to be going through one of my favorite books, and I consider it my storytelling Bible, so to speak, when it comes to editing and story structure, and that is The Story Grid by Shawn Coyne. One of the things covered in this is what he calls the 5 commandments of storytelling. And with these 5 things, your story can become the best that's possible. However, if any one of these are missing, it kind of just feels unsatisfying. So without further ado, let's jump into the 5 commandments of storytelling. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jay Fitzpatrick Malden, author of character-driven hard science fiction and fantasy, most recently of the Foundry series. And in this video, we're going to actually go through another book that was a huge inspiration for me as far as a craft book in the writing space, and that is The Story Grid by Shawn Coyne. Now, we're not going to go through all the ins and outs in this. I'm definitely going to include a link down in the description, which you 100% should go get your copy. And I'll be honest, it is going to be an affiliate link on there. So just do keep that in mind. However, this book right here changed the way I look at storytelling and made me realize that it doesn't have to be some crazy nebulous thing that we don't really know why it works or doesn't, but there is a clear structure and there's a clear intent and there are clear steps and milestones and conventions that all stories should have for them to feel complete and satisfying. And so let's dive deeper on these issues, and you guys can follow me around today as I go on a little bit of a writer retreat day for myself to finish the novel I'm currently working on.
Okay, so what are we doing today? Every once in a while from my professional job, I take a day off. That is kind of a day for me to reconnect with myself. These days usually involve me doing a little bit of writing, doing a little bit of personal discovery. Sometimes I go hiking, those sorts of things. And it's just an opportunity for me to actually go see this amazing world that we all live in. And so I think sometimes we get caught up in our day-to-day. We end up doing the same things over and over again. We have our job, we go home, we have maybe some place we hang out. Actually, third places are kind of an issue. And so if you don't set aside time for yourself or for living and exploring the world, I think you're missing out on a huge opportunity here. And so today I'm doing a little tour of coffee shops here on the northwest side of Atlanta, so kind of the Marietta, Roswell, Alpharetta kind of space. And we're gonna go to some coffee shops. We're gonna sit and take up some space there. And of course, we're gonna talk about the 5 commandments of storytelling, and I'm gonna get some writing done on the lit RPG I am currently working on. So here we go. Okay, so we are 1 cup of coffee down, and so let's talk about the first commandment of storytelling, which of course is the inciting incident. Thou shalt have an inciting incident. Okay, so this is probably a term that you've heard before, but you may or may not know what the inciting incident is. Basically, it's where the story starts. What gets our protagonists? What gets them on the path of this sort of hero's journey that they're on? And make no doubt, most stories work out to be some kind of a hero's journey. So to put this in the popular culture space that, of course, everyone would recognize, let's say Star Wars, for example. So in the first Star Wars movie, the Empire's over the planet, all the things happen. C-3PO and R2-D2 go down in the pod. All of that is really in the space of prologue. But down on the planet, we are introduced to our main protagonist, which of course is Luke Skywalker. And he wants to get off the planet. He wants a different life, and his family gets killed by the Empire. And then, of course, this is the inciting incident for him to go on this path to become a Jedi. Speaking of a different story, let's put it in a cozier space. Let's say that in your story, you are a person who is at work, and maybe they are just a little bit tired, and so they have the opportunity, or they realize, they go, hey, I need to go get a cup of coffee because I'm tired, and if I drink a cup of coffee, I'll feel better. But if I don't drink a cup of coffee, I'll be tired all day long. And so this could be, they're cozier in a much less, my family isn't burnt to a crisp kind of inciting incident. Tying it in with one of my books, The Inciting Incident for the Foundry, which starts with Milo Hughes, is really a coincidental one for him because he is 5 years old when the story starts, and his parents are like, hey, we're going on this space mission to make first contact. He doesn't really have a lot of control in this. He can't say, I want to stay, I don't want to go. They are going, this mission's going to take 18 years one way, 18 years back. And so you are coming with us, whether you want to or not, because you are our child. So he has no control over that. That's actually a central theme in the story, is him not having control over aspects of his life. And so in this space, that is completely coincidental. He did not get to choose. Now, there are two different kinds of inciting incidents. There is a causal inciting incident. That is, it has to do with an active choice that the character makes. So they go, you know what? I'm tired of the situation I'm in. I'm going to do something else. Or, we've been oppressed for a very long time, and I'm fed up with it, and I'm going to take action. Or I'm broke, and now I need to go get a job so that I can eat. Or I don't have romance, and I'm sad, so now I'm going to go find romance. All of these would be causal, where coincidental, being the second kind of inciting incident, is something that happens to the character rather than something they choose for themselves. And so this is where an event happens. Let's say that I'm out here, I'm about to get my next cup of coffee, and a war breaks out, and I have to find my way back to my family. In that story, that would be my inciting incident. I have to get back to my family. I didn't cause it. I'm just some everyman doing whatever in his regular day, and now I am on a mission to go save my family. So here comes my causal inciting incident, which is I'm going to go get another latte, and then we'll be back with commandment number 2. All right, so now I'm outside. I've got my coffee, and let's talk about the second commandment of storytelling, which is progressive complications. The first editor that I ever worked with in writing my books always told me that I should make things worse for the main character. And so that is exactly what I've done. This was confirmed, reading the story grid, that there needs to be progressive complications. So let's go back to our other examples that we had. So we had, Luke Skywalker, and his inciting incident, he left because of what happened to his family. He wanted to join the rebellion. And so things got worse. He met a mentor. He was a little bit crazy. He had to do some other things. And then next thing you know, you have the whole thing at the cantina. Things get worse. The situation is worse. Back to our dude just at work, wanting to get coffee. Maybe he goes back to the coffee maker, and then
there's no beans. Or in the Foundry series, you know, they go on this grand mission to go make first contact with aliens because they're going to save us from everything. And when they reach there, it turns out things aren't exactly what they thought that they might be. And so things getting worse, the progressive complications of things, are part of what make really good tension in storytelling. So we have an inciting incident that kicks our story off, and then for our characters, things have to get worse.
That it is only like 47 degrees outside and I'm freezing to death.
Okay, so here we are with commandment number 3, and this one should come as no surprise. It's the crisis. It's often misunderstood that the crisis is something bad in a story, but what it is a choice to go left or to go right, to continue upon a path or to do something different. When we are looking at the 5 commandments of storytelling, there are 2 types of crises that can come up. And crisis, I do believe it's actually from a Greek root word, which basically means a choice. And so a crisis is the part of the story where the character makes an active choice as to what comes next. And a lot of this informs who the character is, what matters to them, and where all this story is going. And of course, when we're talking about choices, we're talking about 2 different kinds of choices. There's one choice, which is the irrevocable good, which is the idea that neither choice that the character can make is bad, but one of them is terminal to the other. So it's like choosing who you're going to marry when you're in love with 2 different people in like a romance story, or choosing one job or another. Neither are bad, but you can't do both. And the other is what they call a best of bad situation. It's kind of like every political election ever. It's kind of like where you have to work with these people who may not be great, but they get you your ends, or you have to go into this situation that's crazy dangerous, but it's probably going to turn out good. Like, you have to pick the best of 2 situations. As we talked about the kind of decisions that get made, these are very important to your character, it informs who they are and the kind of choices that they make. Going back to our Star Wars example, you know, we have Luke Skywalker, and, you know, let's say when he goes to the planet with, you know, with Yoda to learn all the powers, while he is on that planet, he is kind of given a choice to face himself or to not face himself. And so he decides he's going to go after Vader, which of course is the best of 2 bad situations. He can either hang out there, hopefully become a Jedi at some point, or go face his father, become a Jedi, and also maybe get turned to the dark side. So it's kind of a best of bad situations.
So though I'm out and about today, just go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button. Not only do I talk about writing and writing structure on this channel, but I also talk about science fiction, I talk about fantasy, I talk about the entire nerd space there because, well, guys, I'm a writer. And of course I want to talk about things that I'm passionate about and share the things that I'm working on.
So best of bad situation or the irreconcilable good. You decide. You're the writer. You get to decide what craziness you're going to take your character through, if you're going to be mean to them, if you're just going to make their life difficult, and all the things that come with that. So what comes next? Well, the climax. Get to see myself bust my ass if it's on camera. And so here we are with the climax of the story. That is the 4th commandment of storytelling. And this is where we get to find out what the choice that they made actually means, because ultimately that's what the story is all about. So going back to Luke, he makes the choice to go after his father. He finds out it's his father. I mean, I'm kind of getting some of the details confused here, but they face off against one another. He chops off his hand. He almost gets killed. Not a very great result when all of that happens. Of course, Han gets trapped in carbonite. Still, it's the best Star Wars movie. What can we say? And doesn't turn out great for the characters. They end up with this huge cliffhanger that, of course, takes us into the 3rd story. going back to one of my stories, so the main character makes a choice. This is going back to the Foundry. Milo makes a choice, spoiler alert, and he has to sacrifice an arm and a leg to be able to gain the capability to be able to go save those he cares about and those that he loves. And so it's a best of bad situation. They can either stay where they are in stagnation, or we can make this story a lot more interesting. But what's fascinating is if we miss any of these steps, the inciting incident, the progressive complications, the crisis, the climax, nothing feels right. And that's because as human beings, we have been attuned to respond to certain story types for a very long time, going all the way back to Homer's Odyssey. And so this particular story today, our climax for the decision I'm about to make, I'm gonna try to hop down off of this and not break my freaking foot. Haha, sha-sha. Doesn't this feel appropriate? Everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Speaking of it, just things that happen to you when you get older. My chest is hurting now. I pulled something probably when I jumped. However, in fairness, my backpack is full of stuff. It probably weighs about 15 or 20 pounds, so that's on me. And so finally, there's the last of all of these, the fifth commandment of storytelling, and that's resolution. Whether the ending is good or not, as human beings, we need a catharsis. We need to feel like the story was complete. So the story started, things got worse. A choice had to be made because of the things that got worse. We figured out what choice was made, and in the end, we figured out what it meant. Now, different stories choose different ways of being able to explain this. And not every story is a happily ever after, and that's okay. Lots of horror stories actually end quite horribly, but we kind of figure out what it all meant. What it meant for the characters, the POV, the entire overall story arc, and so on. But without all five of these, stories don't work. And so as for myself, I was challenged for years with having stories that were beautifully described and interestingly written with neat characters, diverse cast, great ideas that just didn't stick the landing. And a friend of mine who I met over Twitter years ago read one of my manuscripts, and that was essentially what she gave me as feedback. And then she recommended The Story Grid by Shawn Coyne to be able to help clarify that. And this story absolutely changed my life. So if you are an author, if you are working on a novel right now, I highly encourage you to pick up a copy of this. This is just one of the many models or tools that are in this book, and it changed my life. I don't think it just changed my life from a writing standpoint. I think it helped me to understand human psychology and to be able to show up for those people that are around me, which is super important.
So that's the 5 commandments of storytelling. Which one's your favorite? We don't really get to pick a favorite. You need them all. And so if you're a writer, I hope in your next story, you take a look at that and make sure at least those 5 things are covered. And until next time, Cosmic Traveler, stay safe out there. We'll see you soon. Come along with me to the butterflies and bees. We can wander through the forest and do so as we please. It's writing time.